So here we are, we've pulled everything out into the kitchen for some different light and more room to work on the workspace to try to see what has happened. So, quick update. 2 days ago, a big print that I attempted to do overnight started printing with a little bit like under extrusion, and it was missing spots and gaps, and there were issues with the print. So yesterday I took the housing right here apart and attempted to figure out what was wrong. Saw that the gear that grips the filament and pushes it through was caked with little tiny fragments of filament in a certain spot. So it would get to that point and skip, and I ended up cleaning it after assembling it right back the way that it was before, and I then just cleaned it and printed a test print that worked just fine. And now today I attempted to change the filament to a different color, and in the process of doing that, the gear in the back started making a really bad grinding noise. And even though it didn't do that yesterday when I did the test print, I think it's still because I might have over-tightened the little screw in the back that has the new window that I just found that lets me see inside to see the filament as it's being grabbed and gripped by that gear, the drive gear. It also has the resistance. This little window is the resistance mechanism that allows for a bit of give because there's a spring on it, a little bit of give to push the filament into the gear that drives it. I think I might have just over tightened it, so hopefully this won't be too big of an issue. But I guess I'll just have to start unscrewing and find out. That's my first thought. I brought it out here. I might unscrew that specific screw a little bit and then attempt to go on from there. Maybe push the filament in or out in either direction. I might have to take off the screw again because in the process of the whole process earlier, the tube here popped out. So I'm thinking there was maybe a couple problems that happened, a couple issues that happened all kind of at the same time, because I haven't necessarily serviced this since I got it in October, about 3 months ago, but I don't see why the whole thing would just suddenly fail like this. So we'll take it apart and see what happens. Looking in the manual earlier, the manual came with the book, I did notice that it said that it did say that over-tightening the screw can cause this problem. So I think that is what I ended up doing. I think I ended up over-tightening the little spring. I assumed that the spring can just alleviate any pressure that it might have, any excess pressure. Well, I see that it looks like the filament inside has been ground down to like a real sharp tip by the gear itself, and then that tip that's been ground down has started to split away from the top half, but I don't think it's actually severed itself. So it does appear that it's just wedged in there. If I can get the whole thing to come back down, it might solve everything. I've used this mock-up of my printer before, but we're actually going to focus on the inside of this central orange square right here. So inside that, there is a cavity that has a hole in one side and a hole in the top. The toothed gear that is what drives the filament through the whole thing, and a smooth round toothless gear on the other side. Now the toothless gear is attached to a lever that has a screw. Around the screw is a spring. So this is the screw I mentioned earlier that when you tighten or loosen will adjust the pressure on the smooth side, and it'll adjust the tension on the filament itself. So when the filament comes out of the side hole, it'll push up into the top hole. And sometimes if it's too tight, like I mentioned already, the toothed gear can grind away at the filament. So as the filament tries to go out the top, it seems to have caught on the edge of the cavity on the top. So that's what I'm trying to fix now. Okay, so I have it all set back up. I'm hoping to be able to just eject the filament from here, but it might have kind of clogged itself in both the tip and the extruder back here, but that just means it'll have to warm up completely before it'll release, which is okay. Yeah, it seems exactly like the problem. All right, well, I figured out what the problem was. It was indeed that piece of filament being wedged into the top when it's trying to come out the top of the extruder cavity. But I will get a few prints done by the time, though, the teeth in the drive gear then fill back up with filament chippings and shavings. So something tells me that that little screw with the spring on it is still too tight. So I think if I don't want to just make a print, clean out the gears and loosen it a little bit, I think I should start by making a print with that screw as loose as possible and then keep tightening it until I get the results that I'm used to from before this issue ever happened. But, so no, this issue is not resolved yet, but it's still an ongoing process. But it shouldn't be too much more to fix it. But every project doesn't always work out the way you want it, and that's a great thing to document as well. So join us next time on 3D Delirium, and we'll see if this solution has resolved completely, or if we're still back to the drawing board. But as always, join us next time where we can all hallucinate about the possibilities of 3D printing. And if you like my content, feel free to subscribe if you'd like to, and you can check out my Patreon if there's other things you want to check out, like the previous files that I've made already. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.